everyone, welcome back. So today I'm going to be doing a fall recommendation video. So I have quite a few different categories. I have a middle grade, I have one or two classics, I have historical fiction, and a few thrillers. So there's a wide variety of books that we're going to talk about today, and hopefully you'll find something that you would be interested in. So let me know down in the comments below if you've read any of these or if you plan on reading any of these. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to start first with middle grade. So I have my books from the library here, and I'm going to start off with one that I just recently finished, and that is Words on Fire by Jennifer A. Nielsen. And it has a bookmark, so my mom's reading it right now. But this one felt very fall, basically because of the setting. We're in a very cold part of the world in Lithuania, and I think this is almost heading toward winter, but not quite, because the water is freezing in some of the parts of this book. But it was really, really good. I'm going to be talking more about this at the end of the month as well. But this is about a girl who was Lithuanian, and basically this is during the time where Russia was trying to take over Lithuania and make everyone Russian and kind of just get rid of the Lithuanian language. And so this girl, I never remember names, Audra. So Audra, her parents are working to give books to people, and so she ends up getting involved with illegal book, not book trading, but book giving, trying to keep their Lithuanian language alive and help people to still get books in their own language rather than Russian. So it's really good. I really, really enjoyed this one. Okay, so there's that one. And then the next one that I'm going to talk about, I think I read this one last year or the year before, but this is Long Lost by Jacqueline West. I read this one last year camping. Really pretty creepy, but it's not extra creepy because it is a middle grade book. But this is about Fiona. So Fiona and her sister, they kind of, I believe, moved to a new town where she has to make new friends, and she ends up enjoying the local library that is there. But strange things are kind of going on within the library, and she doesn't know exactly what's going on. And she finds a book somewhere in the library that's not really listed in the library. It's a very mysterious book about two other sisters that are back in the past, and something mysterious happens to them. So it's very good. It's quite creepy, but it's good. I enjoyed this one. I've only read the first book, but this is Aggie, Morton, Mystery Queen, The Body Under the Piano. And this one is the first book in the series. I do plan on hopefully reading more because I did really enjoy this one. This is kind of if Agatha Christie solved mysteries when she was like around 12. So this is about her and Hector Poirot. She goes to school and they end up finding a body under the piano, and so they have to solve the mystery of what happened to this person and how did they get murdered. And it's a good time. It's a good middle grade series if you're looking for just a fun mystery series. So I did really enjoy this one. A lot of my friends have liked this series. I do plan on continuing it. There's actually a new one coming out this fall, so just a heads up if you didn't know about that. I have a middle grade graphic novel, and this one is No One Returns from the Enchanted Forest by Robin Robinson. And this one felt very fall to me because, well, for one thing, you know, they're wearing kind of fall clothes or close to winter clothes. This book is about two siblings, and the one sister ends up leaving they live underground where it's safe, because up above ground they've heard that there's earthquakes and different things that go on, so they figure they're safe down below. But then earthquakes start happening under there, so they know they have to leave. But our main character's sister ends up going missing, and she decides to go up onto the surface and see if she can't figure out who's causing the earthquakes to try to stop them. So her sibling has to go and try to find her sister Pella, and it's a really cute book. The artwork is kind of interesting, but I like the colors, and it's a cute story. The next one is A Place to Hang the Moon by Kate Albus, and I just finished this while camping last week, and I loved it. I loved it so much. It's really, really good, and you kind of get a little bit feel of Chronicles of Narnia just because of the sibling. They're orphans. One brother's name is Edmund, so I think she might have been influenced just a little bit by Chronicles of Narnia. But anyway, so these siblings are also right before World War II and before the bombing of London, and they are now orphans, and they're wealthy orphans, but their grandmother, who passed away, literally didn't make any accommodations for them after she passed away. The grandmother's solicitor tells them, we're going to send you with the evacuated children to the countryside, and let's hope that you can find a new family, a new permanent family. But don't tell them that you're wealthy, because that will, be bad, because of course families, oh, they're wealthy, we'll take you in. So they go, and they go from family to family trying to find a new forever home. And it's just really sweet, really wholesome. And I cheered up at the end. It's a good ending. I love the ending. Okay, so this one, grab it. It kind of takes place, I think it starts roughly around, it starts, I think, in like mid to late summer, and it goes all the way through Christmas. So the whole fall season is in there. Christmas season is in there. Everything's in there. Talk Everlasting by Natalie Babbitt, and this one is definitely fall feeling. We have a family who have lived in the woods pretty much their whole lives, which has been hundreds of years, because they drank from a pool, well, not a pool, but a kind of a spring that was under a tree, and now they are pretty much immortal, and they have been living there for hundreds of years, and until a girl named Winnie discovers the Tuck family. And it's a really, really sweet middle grade fantasy. Definitely recommend. If you haven't seen the movie is really good too, so you can read and watch at the same time, or one after the other. But it's a really good one. I like this book. I have one more middle grade, and this was an art copy that I read, I think in July, I think it was in July or June. And this was Goblin Market by Diane Zayler. And I had talked about this before. It's not super creepy, but it's kind of like a dark fairy tale, but it's not really dark. So don't worry, you'll be fine. But it's about these two sisters who, the one sister's really afraid to leave home, and the other one goes to the city market to sell I think they're selling vegetables, I believe. But she meets a strange boy there who gives her a plum, and she kind of becomes obsessed with him, and when she can't see him, she gets really sick. And so the other sister realizes something's wrong with this boy that gave her the plum, what's going on, and she really faces her fears and leaves the home to try to help her sister. It's really good. I really enjoyed that one. All right, on to classics. So I am going to recommend Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. It's not one of my absolute favorites, but I have a feeling if you're new to classics, this one is a more fairly easy one to get into. I did honestly like the part of the monster versus Dr. Frankenstein's part of the book, because it's dual perspective. So if it was just Frankenstein's perspective, I think I would have enjoyed it even more, or the monster. Frankenstein's the doctor. But that one is a good kind of starter classic. It's a little bit creepy. It's definitely interesting to see where the idea of Frankenstein came from, and just see, I guess, how Frankenstein's monster was invented. And it's definitely interesting. The last couple, only a few more left. I have a couple more secular fiction to talk about, which is B.A. Paris. So I enjoy most of her books. I own three, I think. I didn't like Come Back Down or Come to Me, something like that. I did not like the ending of that one. That one was, in my opinion, a really bad ending. But these three are my favorites. I have noticed, though, especially since I've read all of her books, that after her fourth book, I think, this is the fifth book, The Therapist, which came out last year, and her newest release, which was The Prisoner, which I think I'll talk about later on this month, but there kind of gets more swearing. The Therapist isn't bad. There's only like a few swear words, but the Prisoner had quite a few swear words in it. So which I was kind of disappointed about because her first 2 books really didn't have any, which I was really happy about. So, but we're going to talk about these because these are my favorite. But anyway, so we have Behind Closed Doors. There is trigger warnings in this book for domestic abuse, but it's not physical, it's psychological. This is all about a girl who seems to have the perfect marriage with her husband, but there's a lot happening behind closed doors that nobody really notices or sees. And so it's really good. I really enjoy the ending. It's more of a slow burn thriller. It's not really a thriller. It's more of just like a slow burn psychological fiction book. So there's that one. And then the next one was The Breakdown, and I do realize that a lot of her characters feel kind of similar. So this one is about a husband and wife again. I believe this one as well kind of has like a psychological feel to it where she's been forgetting things happening. Like she forgets where she puts her keys. She forgets where she's been, if she took her pills. And then, but she can't remember a woman who was sitting inside a car in the woods, and the woman is found dead, and she can remember that, but she can't really remember anything else, and she's wondering why. So I really actually kind of want to do a reread of this because this was my second favorite book of the 8 Parises. So there's that one. And the last one is The Therapist. They've moved in a gated community, and there's this kind of interesting things going on in the town. There's like this big secret with the house that they are now living in the gated community, and so she's trying to get the neighbors to kind of talk about it, but the neighbors are really kind of suspicious and just not great people to talk with. They won't talk to her about anything that's gone on in the house before they moved in. So very, very, I think a bird just hit the house. Very, very strange things are happening in the neighborhood. So that one's pretty good. This one's probably my 3rd favorite, I think. Okay, so there's those. All right, last 3 that I want to talk about are Christian fiction. And the first one is The Souls of Lost Lake by Jamie Jo Wright, which I finished this year. And this one is a very, very creepy and fun, but it's not overly scary, especially since it's Christian fiction. It's not going to be scary for you. But this one is about Blythe Ren Blythe, and she helps her dad at a kind of a youth camp, and there's some strange goings on about the ghost of Ava Coons, who in the past was supposedly found out that she could have possibly killed her whole family because she was found coming out of the woods with a bloody axe in her hand. So nothing gets really graphic after that. So I promise you. Okay, so but this one's very creepy, and we see dual timelines, seeing Ava's take of the story, and then we also see kind of Ren's story in the modern time and how they're going to try to figure out what's going on when a little girls go missing during the modern timeline. So it's really good. I highly enjoyed that one. All right, and then I'm going to recommend anything by Ted Dekker, pretty much. He writes a lot of Christian thrillers. I have enjoyed pretty much every single book that he's ever written, that I've read anyways. I still have a catching up to do in a few of his books, but loved every one of them. But the one I'm going to recommend today, actually I recommend a few. The Bride Collectors and Bowman's Daughters. If you like a Criminal Minds feel to a book, then get those. I believe the dual perspective between the crime solver and the serial killer, they're both really good. So if you like crime shows like that, I think you'll enjoy both of those books. Last series that I'm going to talk about is the Rock Harbor series by Colleen Koble, and this is just a kind of light mystery suspense romance series. It's my favorite by Colleen Koble so far. I think it's actually one of her very first series, I believe. Don't quote me. But I enjoy that whole series. I even remember the main character's name. Main character's name was Bree. It's very rare that I remember a character's name unless I really, really enjoyed a book. So, I really enjoyed it if I remember the character's name. But it's all about Bree and her dog, who is kind of a search and rescue dog. So he can find pretty much if anybody's lost in the woods or a dead body or whatever going on in the woods, he can able to sniff it out and find it. And I love the whole series. You possibly could read them out of order, but I wouldn't. Just leave it at that. Because they don't really follow like a huge timeline compared to other books, but I still would read them in order, I think. So those are all the books that I have for recommendations. Yes, let me know if any of these sound interesting to you, or if you've read any of them. I'd love to find that out, and I'd love to chat with you in the comments down below. So I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you all in the next video.